All right, thank you very much for tuning in. This is Good Afternoon Ghana. My name is Aldo Moro. Today, Good Afternoon Ghana is hosting the Member of Parliament for the North Tongue Constituency. He's made a revelation. It's the latest revelation in town that's got Ghanaians talking, that's got Ghanaians wondering what is happening to this country. Now, it's about the All-African Games that's coming up on the 5th of March, but not without what appears to be a scandal and a massive scandal. What's happening is that government, or let's say the local organizing committee of this event, is actually intending to spend some 48 million US dollars on what it calls operational expenses. The Member of Parliament is asking the question, what are these operational expenses? And for him, what is even baffling is that the president is in the thick of affairs, and there's the president himself is supporting the local organizing committee to raise this money and spend it on what the Member of Parliament wants to know. And so he's joined us this afternoon to throw some more light, or to shed some more light on this very, very worrying development. I'll take a short break. When I come back, I'll be introducing my resource person. The Honourable Member of Parliament for the North Tongue Constituency is with us this afternoon. All right, thank you very much. I'm happy that you stayed with us on Good Afternoon Ghana. Good Afternoon Ghana, as it indicates, is hosting the Member of Parliament for the North Tongue Constituency. He has uncovered something that would blow your mind. It has to do with the upcoming All-African Games that's coming up on the 5th of March. It has to do with some expenditure that the local organizing committee intends to make. Very questionable expenditure. We're talking a whopping 48 million US dollars. If you convert that to cedis, we're looking at a little above 600 million Ghana cedis. It's just 18 days. What it means is that almost 33 million cedis is going to be spent each day for the next 18 days. So starting from the 5th of March to the 18th of March. What is this monies that have been raised with the tacit support of the president? What is it going to be used for? Why do we need that money in the first place? So the Honourable Member of Parliament is with us this afternoon. Good afternoon, Ghana, to bear it all, to tell us what he has uncovered as far as this matter is concerned. Honourable, good afternoon. Thank you very much for joining us, and good afternoon, Ghana. But before you get on with what appears to be perhaps the latest scandal in town, how's your constituency doing? I mean, since that unfortunate incident that happened and that affected some parts of, your constituency. I know you've been working very hard to get them shelter and all the basic needs that we all, require to be able to make a decent living. What's the situation as we speak?
So, Moro, good afternoon. Good afternoon to all our viewers, and let me thank you for your empathy. It's been a really traumatic period for us in North Tongue. You know that we are the epicenter of the spillage that the VRA carried out on the 15th of September 2023.
Right.
About 12,633 people were displaced according to the official NADMO data.
Right.
As I speak to you, there are more than 2,500 people who are still living in tents 5 months down the lane. On our part, we have mobilized resources from private sector, NGOs, foundations, individuals, and we've been able to construct 2 resettlements. The first one in Aveima, the second one in Mepe, which we had the former president commissioned for us about a couple of weeks ago. They both will take 600 people, and we have prioritized 600, yes.
That's
yes.
a lot.
And we have prioritized single mothers, we've prioritized the aged, and the fiscally challenged. So if you observe,
they're the most vulnerable.
They're the most vulnerable. And so you notice that with the second project, we made it disability friendly so that they don't need assistance to access their rooms. Absolutely. We also enhanced the design. This time we added kitchens, we added storerooms, and we added TV rooms so that, it can be more functional, and gradually they can begin to put body and soul together. But my headache now is the majority who are still living in tents. If you go to Mepe Degome, you see them living in tents. If you go to Agbetikpo, if you go to Alabono, you go to Fojoku, you go to Dofuadidome, These are all camps where people are living in tents. And I think it's a scar on national leadership, the conscience of national leadership, that after all of these months, government claims that they are struggling to raise money to house displaced people. No fault of theirs. No fault of theirs. According to VRA, if they didn't spill, the dam will break and there will be no electricity. So if people are sacrificing so that all of us will have electricity, is this how you treat them? Do they deserve this? You know? And it's as though, you know, the president has forgotten about us. And that is why I get very, very outraged when I see the quantums of money that we're just throwing away on all of these dubious and scandalous transactions. No value for money when you see what the money can be used for. I mean, if you move away from my constituency, look at all the other constituencies affected. According to NADMO, 40,000 people have been displaced across the country. In South Town, in Central Town, in K2 South, in Keta, in Anglon, in the Afajato area, in the Dai area, South Dai, North Dai, that's the Honorable Rocks and the Fiamekbo, Honorable Joycelyn Tete's constituencies. Then you go to Oti, the Ketekrechi area. The Reverend Intoso has been complaining in Parliament that she has been totally neglected. All the way to Pru, the Honorable Kwabna Donko has also, you know, been persistent about how they have been neglected, all the way into the savannah areas. So this is a national disaster, and no effort at all to come to the aid of the people.
Right.
And you ask yourself, are some people not Ghanaians? Are some people not citizens? Are they not part of this republic? Particularly when, if you pay regard to all our budgets, I have the last two budgets here, 2024 budget, 2023 budget, you will see an allocation into contingency. Article 177 of the Ghanaian Constitution says that every year, when we are doing our budgeting, we should place funds into a contingency fund so that when emergencies of this nature occur, you can be more rapid with your response and you can take care of your people. Because really, at the end of the day, if people pay their taxes, if people do what they must do as citizens, they are law-abiding, you know, they are paying their bills, and then disaster strikes, no fault of theirs. This is a man-made disaster. I mean, you decided that you are going to open the floodgates at a particular time. You did not even give ample notice. You didn't prepare the people. We have been asking for an inquiry now. The executive has not conducted an inquiry. The VRA itself has not conducted any internal inquiry and published the outcome. We are now waiting for Parliament to initiate the parliamentary bipartisan probe into this matter. So you ask yourself, why is it that despite the contingency fund, and remember that Ken Oforiatta, for example, if you look at 2023, 2022, 2021, had created his own contingency, which he called a contingency vote. And it is out of that contingency vote, he was secretly on the blind side of Parliament using to construct the National Cathedral, which has become the world's most expensive pit. $58 million of our taxes, and all we see is a pit. And that is why virtually all the eminent reverend ministers have left the board of trustees, from Pastor Otabil to Bishop Dakeward Mills to the Archbishop Duncan Williams to Reverend Isud Anaba. And all of them complain about the lack of transparency, the lack of accountability, the diversions. I mean, David Ajayi is keeping 130 million. Reverend Kusibuatin Kwabne Dujemfi, 2.6 million. You have Carrie Summers, $6 million. At the time, it was 61 million cedis. I mean, nothing was going into the actual project. So you look at all of this, you know, wanton dissipation. I mean, we have been discussing not too long ago how $12 million has been blown on the Bosch Ejapa deal. I mean, to think that a deal which did not materialize, which was stopped, for which the special prosecutor, the former special prosecutor, resigned. He issued a damning risk assessment report, corruption risk assessment report, and said he was outrage at what was going on behind the scenes. And civil society was up in arms with the opposition. We fought it in Parliament. We said we are not going to, and we succeeded in Parliament by kicking it out of the House. Only to hear recently, thanks to the Public Account Committee hearings, that apparently, when we thought that we had closed the stable and the horses have not bolted, it turns out that we were deluding ourselves. We were wrong. The $12 million. Then there's another $2 million, which was used for so-called SkyTrain investments, which didn't happen. I mean, and you always ask yourself, who comes up with these schemes, like National Cathedral? You think that people will stop going to Israel, will stop going to Jerusalem, will stop going to Bethlehem, just because you took one stone from Israel to come and construct, a cathedral in Accra. It's like telling me that you take some stone from Mecca, suddenly all Muslims will not do their Hajj in Mecca, they will do it in Accra or in Kumasi, wherever. You wonder who is conceptualizing these things. Look at the state of your railways, and yet you want to go and build sky trains. You are not done with the basic one on road. The railway sector has virtually collapsed, and it's the same issue we are having with so many other scandals. And that's why I have been big on protecting the public purse, because you see, even though this president assured us that he's coming to power to protect the public purse, under him, we cannot find the public purse. The public purse really disappeared. And so some of us have to take our constitutional mandate even more seriously and pursue oversight. That is why, if you have observed, I have been quite big on these accountability issues, insisting that, look, if you live in a country and you are even in the capital, Accra, you go to 37 right now, I challenge you to send reporters there or viewers. Go to 37 now. None of their imaging machines are working. MRI not working. CT scan not working. This is 37. Go to Ridge Hospital. Commissioned not too long ago. The last time I went to visit a patient, the roofs are leaking. Terrible maintenance culture. You go to Kolebu, you have heard what is happening at the dialysis center. 19 people died. A few days ago, Komfo-Anokye Teaching Hospital, they said that by 2016 we had 8 dialysis machines. Now they have 1.5. Half because half of the time is broken down. It's only one that really is working. And there is no replacement going on. Look at what has happened to the people of La. Their general hospital demolished. The president promised them a new one. Suddenly they can't find money for it. So you ask yourself, all of these pressing needs, all of these disasters, people are living in tents, people are suffering, no fault of theirs. And then the president can chair a meeting and vary what Parliament has approved.
And that brings us to, for the main reason why you're here, because just yesterday we got a hint that you had another expose that you wanted to bring to the attention of Ghanaians. And when I woke up this morning, I saw it. I mean, you put it out on X, and I read it. Based on where's the production team decided to get in touch with you, because as far as you're concerned, this is another money that is either going to go waste or intends and to be blown by some persons for whatever reason. When I say blown, that's to be chopped by some persons. And so we also felt a bit alarmed when we read it. And you actually had, I think, a 17 or 18 point, write-up.
Yes.
Sort of from like giving us an account of why, giving us an account of what's been happening with this money, what was agreed with Parliament in terms of the amounts the Parliament had actually given or allocated to the Youth and Sports Ministry, and how, additional monies are being raised without, the consent of Parliament, and so on and so forth. And we're asking some fundamental questions as to why are we raising this money? What are we going to use it for? Who are the persons who are going to be donating this money? Are there any special courtesies or special whatever it is that is going to be given to them? And so we thought that we should host you. And the way you have begun this conversation about we have lots and lots of pressing needs, we have lots and lots of problems and challenges that require the attention of the government to look into, and yet the government appears to be spending money on things that you actually believe are unnecessary, then it dovetails into why you're here. What is the issue with the 48 million US dollars which government intends to spend additionally? In fact, it's in addition to 195, which has already been expended on putting up infrastructure and some other facility. What is the issue with this 48 million US dollars?
So we all do know that Ghana won the rights to host the Africa Games.
True.
It used to be called the All African Games. Now it is called the 13th African Games.
Yeah. After 58 years, isn't it?
Yes. So the government went for a loan to address the infrastructural needs. We all understood that these tournaments, you have to invest in infrastructure. We saw what Ivory Coast did at the last AFCON. So we didn't oppose in Parliament. We only looked at the terms, asked them to renegotiate the loan and all of that. At a point, they even had to bring back a second loan because one of the lenders delayed. We supported them throughout the journey.
Right.
We now know that they have spent $195 million on the infrastructure.
Right.
The president, a few days ago, went to commission the infrastructure that we have expended on, spent $195 million at Boteman. We are also concerned that if you look at the timelines, so if you pay regard to the Youth and Sports Committee report, a copy of which I have here, when the committee appeared before Parliament on the 12th of December last year, we asked the LOC and the Ministry of Youth and Sports that they've already missed their deadlines. They had assured us that when we were approving the loan, that by November of last year, they would complete the works. They didn't achieve that. So we told them to expedite action. So no problem. You have spent $195 million. Then during the budget approval process, December, I told you they appeared before us on the 12th of December last year. They told us that they will need some money for the administrative side of things, in terms of organization, transportation, feeding, hotel, and all of that, which is separate from infrastructure.
Yeah.
So they said that the $195 million, that one is for infrastructure, but they need a separate approval.
Okay.
And they told us that they will need 100 million
US dollars.
Cedis for that. For those who want to see the evidence of that, I have in my hands the budget. This is the budget statement economic policy of the government of Ghana for the 2024 financial year, presented to Parliament on Wednesday, November 15, 2023. So if you come to page 232 of this document, which is Appendix 4A, Appendix 4A, and those who want to download it online, it is page 230.
Okay.
So if you go to the Ministry of Finance website, you see the budget online. When you download it, it is page 230.
Okay.
But if it is the hard, if you have a copy of the hard document, it is page 232.
Right.
Now, Appendix 4A, which is the MD expenditure allocation, which Parliament approved. If you see item number 31, Ministry of Youth and Sports, you see here All Africa Games. So Parliament approved 100 million for their goods and services, which they have described as operational expenses. And then we approved an additional 50 million. They said that they will need an additional 50 million to finish, because there had been some delays, cities, to finish the infrastructure side of things. So
it means that you add that 50 to 195.
Is that it? Yes, to the $195 million. So in terms of the exchange rate, it works up to about 2.4 billion for infrastructure alone. Absolutely. So if you add the 50, so let's say 2.45 billion for the infrastructure. Then what has become the latest scandal is this operational expenses. So you ask us for 100 million.
Right.
It's not as if you came with, say, 200 or 300 or 400 and Parliament said cut it down. No.
What they requested was
what they requested is what we gave them.
Okay.
And I have the evidence here. This
Show us.
is Ministry of Youth and Sports 2024 headquarters budget presentation.
Okay.
To the Parliament Select Committee on Youth and Sports and Culture, December 2023.
Right.
This was presented to us by the Minister for Youth and Sports.
Right.
And when you go through this document, you see here and this is the document which revealed how much we have spent on the Black Stars for the qualifiers.
Oh yes.
So if you
That's
recall,
another matter.
Yes, I had to put out those. And this document, when you come to the budget estimates and cost centers, page 19, you see the demand that was made, 100 million.
Okay.
So that is what they themselves told us that they need.
Okay.
So you can tell that Parliament did not cut or slash the budget.
Right.
There are times that, for example, we were upset that Kano Foriata put so much into the contingency fund, so we reduced it by about half for the 2023 fiscal year. He wanted about 1.2 billion. We reduced it to 533 million. We didn't do that in this instance for the Ministry of Youth and Sport because we know that this is an international tournament. When it comes to our international image, holding high the flag of Ghana, we are all, we want to see a nice ceremony, see a nice tournament. We don't want Parliament to be blamed that, it's the parliamentarians who probably were stingy or very partisan and didn't give us what we asked for.
Right.
So a few days ago, you asked for 100 million cedis. It was approved.
And that 100 million cedis request was based on the assumption that they had done their homework.
Exactly.
They had done due diligence.
Yes.
And in arriving at the 100 million.
At the 100 million.
And so
100 million cedis.
And so if anybody then had told you that somebody would actually want to raise more money in addition to the 100 million, you'd be surprised.
Yes.
In fact, for you, it was inconceivable.
Totally inconceivable.
Because you've done all the work and you're saying that we need 100 million.
Exactly.
You didn't have any issues with it. Like you said, you want the best for Ghana.
Yes.
So you can have it.
Yes.
And then what happens next?
So what happens next is most shocking.
Right.
I begin intercepting documents. So I've put out the 13th February 2024 document signed by the executive chairman of the LOC, Mr. Kweku Ofosu Asare.
Okay.
Or Dr. Kweku Ofosu Asare.
Right.
And when I read that letter, which was addressed to the Chief Executive Officer, to the Bulk Oil Storage and Transportation Company Limited.
Okay. Before you tell us the content of this letter, let me just say that those of you who are watching us and are very eager to contribute to the conversation, want to express your opinion, please do that on the WhatsApp line. It's 0244 262 316. 0244 262 314. 0244 263 314. That's the WhatsApp line. So join us with your opinions and your thoughts and your viewpoints on what we're talking about on Good Afternoon Ghana. Very, very interesting conversation, mind-blowing conversation about monies that the government of Ghana intends to raise under some very funny circumstances in order to execute or in order to, run the African Games. So the Member of Parliament for North Tongue Constituency, Samuel Kujeto ABLAKWA, is here to tell us more about this expose. He was the one who brought it up, and so we've been able to get him, Good Afternoon Ghana, to throw some more light on it. So please follow the conversation. Yes, you're saying that you woke up to this this letter.
Yeah, I intercepted this letter.
Intercepted this letter,
yes.
Right.
Dated 13 February 2024.
What does the letter say?
So the letter is addressed to the Chief Executive Officer of the Bulk Oil Storage and Transportation Company Limited, BOST.
That's BOST.
BOST,
Okay.
which is an SOE, it's a state-owned enterprise. So it's for all of us.
Right.
It's a public entity, and it says request for sponsorship. Quote, following our meeting with you and the President, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo,
Right.
on Monday, November 6, 2023, at the Jubilee House,
and his request for your company to assist the government by sponsoring the Africa Games. This will serve as an official request for a sponsorship of $5 million US dollars. The government of Ghana has so far invested $195 million US dollars in building and upgrading sporting facilities for the games.
And as you can see on the screens, what the Honourable Member of Parliament is reading is clearly what is being shown on the screen. So yes, please go ahead.
The operational expenses of the LOC are 48 million US dollars. This is what hit me. When did the figure change? It was 100 million cedis a few days ago, December.
Because when you convert this 48 million, we're looking at what?
We are looking at 602 million.
As
Ghana
compared
cedis.
to what you
100
approved,
million.
which is 100 million.
100 million. So it is 6 times.
6 times what you
6
had
times
approved.
what we have approved. 6 times.
Right.
I mean, incredible. Then the letter continues. This is the first time Ghana is getting the opportunity to host the African Games in its 58-year history. After the Games, the LOC is to transform the facilities that are being built at Boteman into a university and sports for development as a legacy project. The date for the Africa Games are as follows. Arrival of athletes and officials, 5th to 7th March 2024. Opening ceremony, 8th March 2024. Closing ceremony, 23rd March 2023. Ghana is expected to host 54 countries and over 8,000 international and local athletes, officials, and medical personnel. Some of the benefits of the $5 million sponsorship package, which is for a platinum sponsor, are 100% exposure on primetime TV commercial, 100% exposure on all event materials, 30% space during high-profile matches and events, exclusive platinum sponsor designation, access to 5 experience centers per location, then 30 VVIP invitations to exclusive pre-event and post-match centers. And then it continues to say that in view of the fact that time is of the essence, at this particular point in time, it would be greatly appreciated if our request will receive the urgent attention it deserves. Should you require any further clarification on this request, kindly revert to the undersigned. And then it continues to say, I have attached a summary of the various sponsorship packages of the Africa Games. Also enclosed is the brochure for the games with more details of the sponsorship packages. And then it provides their Bank of Ghana details, their SWIFT code for the transfer to be made.
Okay.
And I can confirm to you, as I put out in the write-up, that only last week, specifically last week Monday, from my tracking, because I wanted to wait a bit to be sure how BOSS will respond. And I've noticed that BOSS has started making payments. They have paid an initial $500,000 into this account, which shows that the documents I received are authentic and that the various institutions are acting on it. But what is really mind-boggling is how 100 million cedis approved. And you cannot say that we probably approved this, say, 3 years ago or 4 years ago. And so a lot of circumstances have happened, intervening factors. Maybe there's been some wild exchange rate jump, or there's been some, cataclysmic situation that warrants a 6-fold escalation.
Yeah.
So the question that we are asking is that what has changed?
Right.
A few weeks ago, you told us in Parliament that 100 million cedis is enough. That's all you need. At the time, even some of us felt that it's a bit on the high side. But because of, nationalism, we don't want to be accused of, derailing the Africa Games.
Sorry, someone has just drawn my attention that 23rd March 2023 is stated as a closing date on the letter. Just wondering why the person is drawing my attention to it. I don't know whether you've made the same observation.
Yes.
Which is March last year, is a closing date for on a letter.
Yes.
What's your reading?
It's a mistake. It's a hurriedly.
Yeah, it was a hurriedly
put together.
That's fine. Okay, please go ahead. Right.
So when you consider the fact that they themselves came to request 100 million cedis, and at no point did they tell us, I have the approval by the House here. At no point did they say that this money would not be enough. Or they will be looking for more money. So what has happened? And you see, this is a sector that is notorious for cost escalations.
Yeah.
I mean, we have not yet recovered from what happened at the AFCON. Ghana is one of few countries that budgeted the most, $8.5 million. They treated it as nuclear code. They will not tell us. Again, I had to intercept documents and then expose them. Then later they had to come to Parliament to confirm. We now know that just these few days, 3 matches at the AFCON, it cost us $3 million. So $1 million per match. Now, when you juxtapose Ghana's expenditure with what has happened in all the other countries, who did better than us? Namibia went to this tournament with $1.1 million, did better than us. Zambia, $2.1 million, did better than us. Nigeria, the contribution that their government made to their budget from taxpayer funds is $1.3 million. And yet they were in the finals. So how come? $3 million. And this is a sector which for many weeks, many months actually, they couldn't pay the Black Queens. As we speak, go and look at the state of all our infrastructure. Go to Accra Sports Stadium and see what is happening there. Go to Tema Sports Stadium. Go to Esipon. Go to Tamale. The last time I wept when I saw pictures from Tamale. I mean, no FIFA standard pitch. No sports policy. And yet, this same sector, the dust has not settled on the scandalous output. And I must salute sports journalists who staged that very successful demonstration. And I'm told that they have gone to IOCO with a petition for demanding investigations into those figures.
Based on the expose that
you
came up with.
So I must salute them. But before the dust will settle on that, then, I mean, we were up in arms over $8.5 million. Now, 48. It's like somebody said, look at these people worried about $8 million. Let's add 40 to it and let's see what they will do.
Right.
It's like just provoking us. Now, what is the breakdown of this $48 million? What are they going to use the money for?
Right, and you don't have any inkling.
So far,
Before
no indication. And that is why we have served notice that we will be summoning the Youth and Sports Minister this week
to come and furnish with information.
To appear before us. And first of all, justify this escalation. Because under our laws, when you have parliamentary approval and you want to vary, you want to change, you are supposed to come back to Parliament.
Come back to Parliament. I was about to get there too.
They haven't done that.
Let's do this. We're going to come back to the issue of, and you asked a very important question, what is the money going to do for? Number one. Two, when they realized that there was a need for them to raise more money, why didn't they do the needful by coming back to Parliament? And so, and that's the reason you're saying that you would need a sports minister to come and answer questions when he appears before, or when you call him before Parliament. So I'll come back to them. That's what we're going to do. And then also, you've also raised issues about private sector. Some private companies who are actually being asked or requested to contribute towards this. And you're asking some issues about, you're raising issues about conflict of interest. I'll get you to sort of explain that as well. You've already given us a list of companies, private companies, that some of whom have already started paying, we're told. Anyway, so this is Good Afternoon Ghana. I have the Honorable Member of Parliament for the North Tongue Constituency, the Honorable Samuel Okujeto ABLAKWA, who you can call, one of the, he's one of Ghana's whistleblowers, or foremost whistleblowers, anti-corruption crusader. He's joined us on Good Afternoon Ghana to tell us more about something has uncovered huge amounts of money. We're talking 48 million US dollars, close to about 600, a little over 600 million cedis, which the local organizing committee, of course, with the presidency, intends to spend on the African Games. And he says it is bizarre, it is scandalous, and it is sad. When we come back, we still have a lot more to say or to talk about as far as this matter is concerned. We'll take a break. We'll be right back. All right, this is Good Afternoon Ghana. My name is Audu Moro. This afternoon, Good Afternoon Ghana is hosting the Member of Parliament for the North Tongue Constituency, the Honorable Samuel Okudzeto ABLAKWA, who's got some very, very interesting revelations about the African Games, which is coming up on the 5th of March, and some whopping amounts of monies that the local organizing committee, with the tacit approval and support from the presidency, towards the execution or towards the running of the event, which comes off on the 5th of March. Now the government, its Youth and Sports Minister came to Parliament and requested 100 million cedis for administrative expenses, and then all of a sudden, the Member of Parliament actually intercepts documents that shows that the government intends, or the ministry intends, to raise an additional 500 million Ghana cedis, and the question is, for what? And so for what? And what is it going to be? What is it going to be used for? And is it really for the games or for some other purposes? And that's what the Honourable Member of Parliament wants to know. And so he's actually promised that he will haul the Minister of Youth and Sports to appear before Parliament to answer some very critical questions. But from all intents and purposes, this certainly is worrying, and that's why we're having this conversation. So, Honourable, I asked a question about have you been tracking to find out what this additional 500 million cedis that the local organizing committee intends to raise, what they intend to use it for? And you're saying so far, what have you found out?
I'm still tracking.
Okay.
I have not seen any cataclysmic shift, any significant alteration in the existing plans, different from what Parliament was told.
Okay.
So it's really intriguing that we are seeing this sudden escalation of how much they want to spend on operational expenses.
Right.
And from the track record of this government, right from National Cathedral, you remember how it started at $100 million and then it went all the way to $450 million. They have a track record of just escalating. Once you take your eye off a bit, people just cook schemes, what the Supreme Court has described as a create, loot, and share, agenda. That is how this is looking. It has all the trappings of a create, loot, and share scheme. I mean, they say that if it walks like a duck, looks like a duck, and quacks like a duck, it is most certainly a duck. But we will insist that the Youth and Sports Minister must appear before us and explain to us what has changed, what is happening. Why is it that not too long ago you told us that all you need is 100 million cedis? Now you are writing letters, you are convening meetings chaired by the president.
Okay.
And you see, the president should not have lent himself to this. Because once the president chairs, and he is the one who has given his blessing to this escalation, then he puts himself at the center of the scandal. It means that he is the one who is calling the shots. He is the one directing that our laws should be flouted in such a violent manner and that the authority of Parliament should be undermined. And that is very worrying. And look, this may just be one of the key reasons why we may soon make history by making sure that this president becomes the first president of this fourth republic and probably all our republics to face an impeachment hearing. Because the way things are going, it's just one too many. We are now dazed. You don't finish exhausting one scandal, and then there's a new one, and it's like a free-for-all. It's like some looting brigade has just descended on the
help
country.
me here, Honourable. It's your problem, the fact that the government, so here LOC, Ministry of Youth and Sports, the presidency, did not go through the right channel in raising this additional funds. Or your problem is that you are wondering what could have possibly justify this ballooning of the figures from 100 to 500 million cedis, or so 600 million cedis, with a difference of 500, more than 500 million cedis. And you're saying that you smell a rat. I think it's in all of this. I think it's simply put, you smell a rat. You think there's something untoward, something fishy, something very funny, it's happening. So if, for instance, the youth and sports minister had come to you or had appeared before Parliament again to say, well, we came to you and said we needed 100 million cedis for administrative expenses, but then we've gone back, and based on factor A, B, C, D, we will need an additional, or we'll need 6 times that amount. Would that have made a difference?
So those who are listening to me carefully,
Okay.
I have 3 major concerns.
Concerns.
You've only listed 2. There's a third
2.
one.
Right.
So number 1, I'm raising issues about the procedure,
Right.
the lawlessness, the violent disregard for our constitution and for due process. They were supposed to come back to Parliament and obtain another approval. Explain to us why 100 million will not be enough,
Okay.
and seek our views and our blessings, and have the House pass a resolution. So we'll rescind the 100 million, and then we'll pass a resolution. A new spending mandate will be given to them.
Right.
They didn't do that. That's the first issue.
That's the first issue.
So those are, legal issues.
Procedural
We're talking
legal
about
issue.
procedure, the lawlessness, which and the undermine of Parliament,
Right.
which is at play, and the president has been at the center chairing those meetings and engaging in that.
Okay.
Then number 2, we are saying that we are not convinced that between December and now, there should be such a quantum leap in the figures from 100 million to over 600 million. And this was happening on our blind side. They were probably hoping that parliamentarians will not intercept this letter, and they will go on and just spend like they have done in so many instances, from what they did with AFCON to National Cathedral, Ejapa, the SkyTrain, and I can go on and on. So that's the second issue. The fact that we are not convinced that there is any compelling reason why we should be escalating from 100 to 602 million Ghana cedis.
Right.
Then the third reason, which to us is so fundamental, is that we are saying that looking at the current economic context, we should not be engaging in things like this.
Right.
If you want to even do any review, it should rather be reduction.
A reduction.
When you
not
hear,
an increment.
Not an increment. Because at the time we're even approving this 100 million, we didn't know that people will be dying at Kolebu, that we can't raise 4 million cedis for dialysis. We didn't know that Komfanochi doctors would soon cry out loud that there are 8 dialysis machines, only 1.5 is currently working. We didn't know that we will be totally shut out of the international financial market.
So that they probably wouldn't have gotten this 100.
So, yes.
At the time.
Yes. So we are saying that if you put into proper context what happened in Australia recently, for example, Australia won the bid to host the Commonwealth Games.
Yes.
Then they went into economic difficulty. Their president addressed the nation, the international community, and said that, look, we won the bid, but the way we see things, the cost of living crisis, how our people are suffering, we are sorry, international community, we are going to disappoint you. I can't see my people hungry, my people living in desperation,
Right.
and then I go and say I'm organizing games for a few days.
And look good.
Because if you look at this letter that the LOC has written, it's virtually 18 days.
Yes.
If you do the simple arithmetic, it means on a daily basis, with these $48 million, they want to be spending 33.4 million
Million a day.
a day.
And the question, on what?
On what? So Australia backed out. They said they are not going to host the All Africa. Nobody has arrested all Australians. The Australian president has not been charged before the International Criminal Court.
Right.
I mean,
And
it's about leadership. And his people
that's responsible leadership.
responsible leadership. So I'm saying that people must be conscious of the times we are living in.
Okay.
You have so much mismanaged this economy. We are currently in crisis. Look, lecturers were on strike not too long ago. you haven't resolved their issues. As we speak, senior citizens, pensioner bondholders, I know a lot of them. They may not be picketing these days at the Ministry of Finance, but a lot of them can't even get their own monies that they worked for decades to even buy their medications. There are so many, look, the middle class has virtually been wiped out. So many people who had invested in bonds and thought that as for government security, it is risk-free.
Yeah.
They have been given a rude awakening by the Baumia-led economic management team,
Right.
ably supported by Ken Ofriatta, who today has been given, high laurels in international, circles. So it is important to put the issues in this context, that there are three major concerns we are raising.
Okay.
One, the lawlessness, the procedural issues. Number two, the fact that we don't see any justification for this increase, that if anything, it should rather be a reduction.
Okay.
And then number three, we are saying that you need to be conscious
of the
times,
Okay.
the climate.
Okay.
And you should not be saddling us. Because at the end of the day, all of this is going to come back to us as debt that we have to pay. We are going to pay for this.
Especially that which is coming from the state-owned enterprises.
Yes.
But how about the private sector? Because again, you said for
now
instance,
the private sector. If you do a careful analysis of the
Yes,
companies,
yes.
These are companies who execute government contracts.
True.
So I see a certain pattern that the president is virtually, you've been winning our contract, you've been executing contracts, because what's the criteria for selecting Magdan, Zoom Lion, Cosmos, Talo? What's the criteria? And you see, it raises ethical issues. Look, if you are a president who really doesn't want to promote any, semblance of, favoritism, corruption, bias, you even stay away from such things.
Okay.
Why is the president leading these efforts?
Right.
Now, what is he telling these CEOs? Because he wants them to come up with $5 million. $5 million.
Each?
Each. If you read the letter to them, $5 million. That's no joke. $5 million.
But are they under any compulsion to pay $5 million?
That is in excess of what? 60 million?
Are they under any compulsion to pay $5 million? They can choose not to pay.
Yeah, but what are the consequences? The president has called you. President has called you. Yeah, he's called you and says that you have to contribute to this.
Someone says,
and people really will find a way of recouping this. So you see, they are fundamental ethical, and this is when we talk about state capture.
Yeah.
You know how a few politicians, a cabal, collude with their cronies in the business arena and just hijack national. Because look, after these meetings, the other companies, as I asked in the write-up, if there is a competitive bid, do you stand a chance?
Oh, you may not. You may not.
Will you really stand a chance where after president has selected his favorite companies, met with them?
When we did confusion, you don't want to bring anything. Why should we give you a contract? Let me read this. Good afternoon, Honorable. Please, you are an inspiration for most of us. Keep the good work, and Allah will surely protect you until you become Ghana's president one day. Well, he has never said he wants to become president. He's never told anybody. Just do his job. So this is about becoming president. What? It's okay. You're free to wish that for somebody to become president. He doesn't have a problem with that. Okay, so.
I have a big problem with that. I just want to do my job
work.
as a small rural MP.
You see, they should let you be. Anyway, so if we have more ABLAKWA, the country will turn to heaven for the unborn. That's coming from Abdul Rahman Nido Mangwase. Hi, good afternoon, Mr. Host and Honorable Samuel Okudzeto ABLAKWA. Thank you very much for the good work you're doing to save Ghana from the hands of this current government. Ghana needs you as president, so therefore His Excellency JDM should make you VP so that you will take over after him. Do not change when God puts you there. No lecture, more actions, man. You didn't add your name. You just sent us a message. And this one says, Honorable ABLAKWA deserves to be praised for his works in unveiling the rot in this current government. We thank you, the host, for inviting him on your show from Alhaji Malam Isa. Good afternoon, Moro. Good afternoon, Honorable Okudzeto ABLAKWA. This is Niadi, a.k.a. Ashambutu from Amasaman. Moreover, if we should get just 10 of our MPs doing this kind of things or work, Honorable is doing just to protect the public purse, our economic woes will turn around. From presidential jet hiring to National Cathedral to Chop Chop and the malfeasance to the National Cathedral Secretariat, Reverend Kusi, blah, blah, blah. So God bless you, Honorable. Never relent. Keep the fire burning, Honorable. More grease to your elbows for the good work you're doing. For Mother Ghana, God richly bless you. This one says, if not for mischief, ask Honorable ABLAKWA, why didn't he call his friend, the Youth and Sports Minister, to ask him why he needs an additional 500 and something, it says something million Ghana cedis, rather than going public with it and making the minister and the government look bad? ABLAKWA, why? So that's coming from Mamiya in East Legon. And this one here says that, good job, Honorable Member of Parliament. You are Ghana's savior. Please keep up with what you're doing. The sky is the limit. Okay, so did you ever contemplate putting a call through to any of the members of the local organizing committee or the ministry to find out, Masa, what do you need a 500 million Ghana cedis for? If you can't explain me, I'm going to hold you before Parliament too. Did that occur to you?
So I have a serious challenge with people who take this posture.
Right.
And when they give this advice to us in the opposition,
Yeah.
I never hear them give that same advice
Right.
to the real McCoys, the people who are jeopardizing our taxes, our future,
Right.
and squandering opportunities for young people in our country. So why are they not asking the president, the sports minister to do the right thing? Why didn't they come to Parliament?
Right.
You were the one initiating this. So why didn't you?
So the question should go to you.
It should go to them. Why didn't they call MPs and say, oh, MPs, what you approve for us, the 100 million, and so on.
Right.
Things have changed.
Okay.
So we are on our way to Parliament to seek a new approval.
Right.
It will go to 600.
So the question should rather be,
know,
why didn't those people do the right thing? Rather than why didn't you? Okay. So you are just exposing what you've come across.
You didn't even, these letters.
Okay.
You didn't even copy us. You didn't show us respect even as MPs.
So why should I call you?
You know, so why should we call you?
I get that.
You are doing this in the dark.
I get that.
You know, so
thank you. I want to honestly thank you sincerely for your time. It's been wonderful having you here on Good Afternoon Ghana. I think you've all heard it. You've seen some of the documents we put out on the screens and so on. So the jury is out there. I want to thank you so very much for tuning in to Good Afternoon Ghana. My name once again is Aldo Moro. Thanks for your messages. You're wonderful. See you on Wednesday, 2 p.m. But tomorrow, State of the Nation address will be here to bring you all that you need to know about the state of the nation. So stay tuned in. This is Metro TV. You've made the right choice.